Welcome to Your Best Bets. 2024 is here. We are shaking off the rust here at Your Best Bets. It's been 2 months since we ran a podcast. Just got through the holidays and right in the middle of the winter season. And, I texted the guys yesterday. I'm like, it's time to fire this thing up for the new year. So we're here. We got a lot to talk about. Uh, we got a lot of golf things going on. Had an amateur winner for the first time in 33 years yesterday. We'll get into that. Got some personal golf stuff we're going to talk about, what our goals for the year are. Of course, Live versus PGA Tour. Where are we with this shit show now? Um, and of course, a little bit of football as well. Zach Fitzgerald is here. Sir, how are you? It's wonderful to see your face again. I'm just joyous to be with you.
It's excellent to see both of you as well. I'm good. It's been cold. I've been working. Uh, Pipes break when water freezes, so it's been good for the hours, but bad for the sleep. And aside from that, man, everything's been good. Played indoor golf the first half of the year. Played that with Lance Hoke. It was a good time. Kind of kept the body loose. Decided to we'll see if I stick to this, but decided to finally put the blades away for good. Got some ZX7s with some different shafts in them, hit them all throughout this session, and we're going to give them a go next year. I would say that the likelihood is probably by June, the blades are back in the bag, but we're going to give it a shot. So, aside from that, man, everything's great. Looking forward to golf.
Yeah, we'll have to get into a little more later on when we talk about our own golf games. Uh, Johnny Strouser is here. I thought we'd talk about the Detroit Pistons. They lost a lot of
we,
games while we were on
we could talk
hiatus.
about the Detroit Pistons. Yes, that and before I talk about the team I want to talk about with I actually pay. They're on Bally Sports. I actually pay for that godforsaken app because I watch I watch all the Tiger games all summer long. Decided I'm just going to go ahead and keep it and watch the Pistons. I've been paying $20 a month to watch these guys. Now I really don't watch it that much. It's mostly just an app on the back of my phone and everything like that. But anyways, yes, it's a big deal. Um, Lions going to the NFC fucking championship game. I was not even a teenager the time they last won a playoff game. I don't remember that game. I remember a lot of that season watching those games. I just cannot recall that game back in 1992. It was actually January of 92. So watching the last couple of Sundays here has just been it's been amazing. It's just been incredible. Um, I in my wildest dreams, I didn't think it would be this awesome because the Lions to me are just a team I drink the Kool-Aid for at the draft, get hyped for them all summer long. And then by Thanksgiving, it's like, when does baseball season start? But it's just like, just an amazing run here. What Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have done with the team, and um, seeing these guys flourish and seeing the crowd. You see all the Lions fans, and Michigan's a very passionate state with their sports teams, and it's just been an amazing run. And I'm just hoping the run can keep going for a couple more games because it's amazing. It's just bliss.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a little surreal. I'm sure for you, the Lions have just been before the Dan Campbell era when this revitalization started. I mean, there was some dark years. I mean, just stretches of years. The Stafford era, there was some good moments, playoff appearance, and all that. But largely for, I'm sure, the course of your lifetime, this is just, it's been like you said, there's never real expectations, and you came into this season with real expectations. And it's kind of cool to see a team deliver on that promise and get to the playoffs. And now you're on the brink of, I mean, I can't even believe it, one game away from the Super Bowl. I texted you those words yesterday. I'm like, this isn't fucking real. It's really
No.
not real. But it makes you like, actually cherish as a sports fan because you don't know when this is going to come along again.
Yeah.
I remember the last Bears NFC Championship appearance was 2010, and it doesn't feel that long ago, but it's almost 15 years, and we are in the darkness now. And so I think you gotta truly enjoy the good stuff when it happens, because who knows when it comes around again.
Yeah, and I worked the last 8 days, and I was able to catch both games and everything. But today I had a day off, and my thing is I spent, I don't know, for like first 3 hours of this morning just going through Twitter, watching the videos. I love watching the Lions social media team is fantastic. So they post a lot of the like the locker room videos and seeing just everything. And I follow a lot of Lions Twitter, seeing all that and just like really getting into it and everything. And not trying to think too far ahead of what could happen, but also I don't think it's totally fluky that they've made it to this to the NFC Championship game. I think the Lions are a legitimate unit of a football team, and I think San Francisco is likely the better squad. I mean, they didn't play that great against the Packers, but there's no reason. I mean, the Lions have proven throughout this entire season they're not afraid of anybody. As Dan Campbell says all the time, especially after all the wins, you're built for this, and they're built to beat good teams. And the way they're set up and the way they're coached, the way they're gritty and mentally tough, it's like they're not really afraid of anybody. They're not afraid of the moment. And that started with that first Thursday night game in Kansas City. And they beat them down, and it's just been a magical season. So it's just trying to absorb it. And like you said, I mean, the NFL, it can turn in an instant. You could be elite one year, and you could win 5 games the next. So it's just like it's just like trying to every single game, every single moment is just trying to say, you know what, this is pretty cool. If it doesn't happen again, it doesn't happen again. But you know what? I think I also want to tell you, you came to my bachelor party. I don't remember if you remember this, but we were at the Tiger game, and we got into a debate. I think it was beer aided, but we were talking about whether you'd be a fan, whether you'd want your team to win a World Series or a Super Bowl. And I was like, World Series. And the Tigers were pretty good at the time. So it was like, yeah, World Series, because I just didn't know what a good football team was, what to root for, rooting for that. And now seeing this, it's like, no, it's a Super Bowl. It's a Super Bowl appearance, it's a Super Bowl win. So just to be one game away at this point, after all the hype, after everything, and it's just kind of cool to see a lot of just NFL fans just kind of embracing the Lions fans and just saying, you know what, good for these guys, because we've dealt with this shit for however many years, and it's been like this for decades.
I do recall that conversation. That was before things got really sideways for me that night.
Really sideways.
Really sideways.
Yeah.
Also, we went up to a Monday night game together with your cousin in 2011 or 12. I can't remember.
I think it was 12, because 10 years was last year, 2022. So yeah, that was Monday night.
Yeah,
what were the Bears 5-0?
Yeah, it was the first Monday night game Detroit hosted in a long time.
A long time. Yeah.
And it was, I mean, as a visitor to the stadium from or as from the visiting team, a fan, it was fucking electric. And I hated to admit it, but we walked in and I was like, holy shit. Yeah. And I can only imagine what it felt like the past 2 games. And it's a real home field advantage. And there's really not that many stadiums, I think, in the NFL that are like true home field advantages. I think Arrowhead, Buffalo, but a lot of these new stadiums are so big, and Ford Field is, but it's just got this vibe to it. And I'm just really impressed with the whole thing, and I know the city's got on board. And I really think if you're not a fan of the other 3 teams, I think largely the NFL community and fans are rooting for the Lions. That's kind of a cool spot to be in. Our friend Zach here sent us, and Zach, I don't know if you have it in front of you, but the game-changing trade of course you don't, is the Stafford trade of a couple years ago, where the Lions just got an absolute haul. And we talked about very few trades in sports where both teams win. It's a true win-win. The Rams get Stafford, they get their Super Bowl a couple years ago, and Detroit gets Goff, which at the time kind of felt like a throw-in.
Mhm.
It really did.
Very underrated.
And I think I remember a conversation about like, oh, they're going to throw in a draft pick so they'll take on his contract.
They threw in the second first round, so it was a first rounder, and then to get Goff thrown in it and off their books, they threw in a second one. So they ended up drafting Jamison Williams with the first one, who's been, who's going to be a cog at some point, I'm hoping there. But they also turned it into Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, and defensive lineman Broderick Martin, Josh Pascal, who's also a rotational guy, and then a safety that they've got, Ife Melifanu, I think is what he's the guy who sealed up the division with the interception against Minnesota in week 16, I think is what it was, or game 16. So just to get a lot of core players from that trade, to be able to trade that first rounder in the second first rounder and get those other picks, and Brad Holmes, who actually came from the Rams, so had a lot of faith in Goff. He's the guy who basically scouted Goff, so liked him, and he kind of knew what to work with, or what the Lions would be working with. So Brad Holmes has turned out to be just a phenomenal GM and a great talent evaluator. He drafted Gibbs with the 12th pick, and everybody hated that pick nationally. I, as a Lions fan, was like, first round pick. And then they draft Laporta, and then the guy from Georgia was the higher rated tight end. They passed him to draft Laporta, and Laporta's been, he's Greg Kittle 2.0. He's just, he's going to be elite, and so it's just, it's the right type. They're drafting dudes that they like, and they got the right system, and Dan Campbell's and the rest of the staff, coaching staff and management, has just really just completely changed the culture, because that used to be just a garbage dumpster fire of a franchise. It really was. It was terrible. It has been terrible. But getting guys in there, they took Chris Spielman from Fox Sports. He's a former player, and he just kind of is behind the scenes guy, and he built the culture within with the management staff and the ticket sellers and the concession people and all that stuff. So it's just changed as an organization. It's kind of neat to see, and the big thing at I know the national joke is same old Lions, and they've done buried that with this new regime. So kind of cool. It's hard to win in the NFL. It's hard to win playoff games in the NFL. It's just hard to sustain success, and it's just it's shocking to see the team that I've rooted for 40 years or whatever it is, being this good and this complete and this trustworthy of an organization. So I'm just going to ride it, like you said, and win or lose, it's been a dream season, and hopefully they give them a game, and we get one more after that, which would be it would be bonkers. If they win and then we have to go on the podcast next week, I might be insufferable. I just might.
I was sitting there watching the game last night, and it was towards the end when we knew that they were going to win, and I was just kind of thinking about that trade, and I've been kind of thinking a lot about Carolina and the position that they put themselves in for why can't I think of his name right now? The quarterback that they took this year from
Bryce Young.
Alabama. Yeah, and everything they gave away, and look at where they would be now had they not have done that. They'd have a chance of Caleb Williams or Drake May or Marvin Harrison Jr. for that's just the dichotomy. And it's crazy that you have a team like Detroit who used getting rid of Stafford, who was a very beloved player for very good reason. Took Goff, who was extremely underrated, and at that time it was just like, hey, everybody thought it was a rental for a year, and then you guys would find a quarterback in the draft. He had a reasonably good year, and then you guys gave him a contract, and look at him now. I think he's a really, really good quarterback. And then you look at a team like the Bears, who now have the opportunity that you guys had. they have the opportunity to have a fantastic draft this year and put themselves in a position. I'm actually interested to hear Phil's position on what he thinks they should do with Fields, because I mean, do you keep him and build around him and trade the number one pick, which you'll get significantly more than you got last year for it? Or do you take Caleb Williams, trade Fields, which I've heard they potentially may get like the first round eighth pick from Atlanta? And if that's the case, then you
No
trade
way.
Fields.
No way.
I've heard that. I'm telling you, I've heard it
I
from multiple places that I've read. I don't think it's possible either, but I'm just interested to see what you guys think about that particular aspect, because we've just seen Detroit be able to perch themselves up pretty quickly with a good trade situation, a quarterback that people did not necessarily think was good, but then you started building around him and look what he is now. I'm just interested to see, because you guys are in a position that very few teams are ever in, ever.
Yeah. Yeah, Ryan Poles deserves a ton of credit for that trade last year. I think it's going to go down as one of the most one-sided trades in NFL history. I really do. If you just look on paper what the Bears have gotten so far, and we'll see what happens with this first pick, whether it's Caleb Williams or Drake May, or they trade down and get another haul. I don't know yet, but Zach, you asked a question that has been on my mind for about a month and a half, and I've agonized over this. Not that what I think fucking matters, but I go back and forth. I go back and forth almost every day, every week. Um, Tim and I, we've had several conversations about this. He lands decidedly on one path, and I still don't know the right path. I all I do know is that the Bears can't get this one wrong, and historically they always get it wrong. And I'll support, obviously, as a fan, whatever they do. And I just, if you're asking me today what I think is the right decision, and by the way, they just hired Shane Waldron today as their offensive coordinator, and I don't know
Good hire.
I don't know if that is any indication.
Not Kingsbury.
I think, I think that's potentially my thought on that one is like him with Geno, kind of reclamation project with him.
Sure.
Maybe he sees
Yeah.
something in Fields.
I thought they were bringing Kingsbury in potentially
No.
as a person
He was
to
interviewed.
bring Caleb
Yeah.
Williams in.
Yeah. And that was kind of my first thought was like, okay, they're either interviewing him because they're interested in Caleb, or maybe they're interviewing to get some more information about Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Was my
That's
thought
what I
as
thought.
well.
Is Fields good enough to win you guys a Super Bowl at any point with any amount of people around you?
Yeah, I think
And
that's
if you guys do not take Fields, I'm sorry, if you do not take Williams and he turns into Mahomes 2.0, that means that you guys passed on Mahomes and Williams.
Jesus, just 2024, just throwing haymakers here.
yeah.
I mean,
Burning
it's
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
South Chicago
like
down.
Yeah. Yeah.
you guys have had so many opportunities to be fantastic with the team that you said you brought up this team that always astonishes me, the fact that you guys made it to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman, and since that time can't figure anything. Made it with arguably what I think is the most ridiculous quarterback I've ever seen play in a big game like that. I do hope the best for you. I'm not trying to like shit on you. I do think you guys are in a really,
You're
really
not
good
right.
spot. I just hope that I hope that
I was
it
gonna
works
say it
out.
certainly feels like it. I mean, you brought Rex Grossman into it. It is unnecessary.
You brought Rex
God
Grossman
damn.
into it when you said that the last time that you guys had made it to the NFC Championship game was
No,
2010.
that was Cutler.
You could
That
have
was
just
Cutler.
let that die.
That was Jay.
Was that Cutler?
That was Jay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And
thought that was the year that
I love Jay Cutler. I loved Cutler for all of his faults. I just, looking back, there's so many things I just enjoyed watching him play. It wasn't always pretty, but no, Zach, I think in my mind the right decision is to trade Fields and draft Caleb Williams, because I don't know if Fields can get you to a Super Bowl. I do think there's a chance that Caleb Williams, and I hate this word, and it's thrown around. It was thrown around this weekend with Nick Dunlap, potentially generational. Mahomes like talent. I have some concerns about Caleb when I saw him play against good defenses in college this year. I really did. He looks amazing against the the poor Pac-12 defenses, and he looks like this incredible player. But I saw him play against Notre Dame, and it didn't exactly look the same. And I do have some concerns, but I also know that USC team is not. It wasn't your typical talent-laden USC team. So I think the right decision in today, if you're asking me today, is to see what you can get for Fields. It's not going to be the 8th pick. It's not going to be a first rounder, but it could be a second rounder, I think. And go with Caleb, reset the rookie deal. I think you have a very good defense. I think you have a decent offensive line. You got some good, decent skill position players. As much shit as I gave Matt Eberflus last year, he seemed to kind of turn the thing around mid-season, and the guys played for him. And I was kind of hoping for the let's go for Jim Harbaugh, let's reset everything. We have the talent, let's go. But I can get behind this Eberflus thing if you bring in a real coordinator like Shane Waldron, who I think is. It's an amazing opportunity if they decide to go that route and draft Caleb. They also have the 9th pick. You can get a lot of good talent in with those 2 picks. Or if you trade down and you decide the thing is, I love Fields. I think he's a really hard worker, good teammate. I just wish he was a little more consistent. I think we saw that a little bit at the end of the season. He played great against Atlanta. A couple of the Detroit games, he played really well in those games, and so you see what he can be. It's just the consistency wasn't always there, and I don't know if that's a him thing, a coaching thing, a combination of both, but that's where we're at with him. And if he goes somewhere else, I expect him to be awesome because that's what happens to the Bears. And so that's my answer today is that's the path I would go. I know Tim is very, very strongly pro Fields. He wants him to trade down, build around him. And if they decide that's the right path, then I will support it.
I fall in the middle. I hope they don't break your hearts. And that's with all seriousness. I truly do hope that for all my Bears fans or friends that are fans that you guys take this rare opportunity that you have and do the right thing. Kind of like when the Colts took Luck because he was a can't miss prospect, or
And the thing with Fields is if you commit to him, you basically are committing to pay him a pretty hefty contract too, and that the financial ramifications do matter. And resetting the rookie contract with Caleb Williams is a big part of this conversation. But yeah, you're ultimately right. I really don't care which path they go as long as it's right, and as long as in 2 years we're saying they made the right play, because it's just the history in the last 25 years with this organization is they get this one wrong, and Ryan Poles can't get this one wrong. It's going to define his job, and he's done amazing work.
Yeah,
the 2 years he's had, he really has. He made one bad call with the Claypool trade, but he's made several good moves.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this will be the one that defines his legacy as the GM of Bears.
Yeah, it's just like I think you just got to let him do his thing. It's just like what when Brad Holmes was drafting, Jahmyr Gibbs early and stuff like that. It's like, well, okay, we just got to trust him and trust his pedigree for drafting well and talent evaluating. And Ryan Poles he's done a great job. He's just got to decide if that's what he wants is Fields on his second contract or not. So
yeah,
they're going to be an upcoming team, I think, and I think the North is going to turn into a pretty good division here because it looks like Green Bay's got their quarterback and hopefully Detroit's here to stay. So
yeah. And I mean, the Bears blew 3 fourth-quarter leads of 10+ points. They should have been a playoff team. They really should have been a playoff team. I mean, I know I saw that the the percentage chance of them losing all 3 of those games, the games to the Broncos, the Lions, and then the Browns, it was less than like 0.1% that they would lose all 3 of those games.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you win 2 of those games, they're probably I know they're right at 9 wins there. So I don't think we're far off, but yeah, this is the big one, and I'm very, very nervous. I'm very nervous every day reading about this, and I read as much as I can, and it makes me more nervous. So
Yeah.
I am going to be excited, but also just apprehensive as hell the next 3 months. But
So
thank you
what
for
do you
bringing that.
think happened?
What do I think happens? Think I think they'll look to trade Fields and draft Caleb Williams. That's what I think will happen.
I think they're going to pick.
We'll have to circle back to this in a couple months because the draft's not, for a while.
Mhm.
Which I will be there, by the way, at the draft, so I'll be able to,
Ooh,
so
Live
Yeah.
coverage.
yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. All right.
Hopefully, haven't got tickets yet, but I got the hotel booked. So talk about golf though.
That'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. So we've had this is third tournament of the calendar year. We've the opening Hawaii swing is always kind of fun to watch. This past weekend at the Amex is, I would say, less so, and it just gets drowned out in football. And this time of year, you're just not watching the Amex unless you have something riding on it, like money. Have money riding on it for Sam Burns to win. Someone like that. Uh, no, this is it was a pretty historic thing that happened, and I mean it's really uncommon to see um, something that's never happens or hardly ever happen on the tour. And I mean, having a college sophomore win a professional event, even one that this kid's got obviously a ton of pedigree, winning the U.S. Junior Am, winning the U.S. Am last year. Obviously, he's got the stones to play, but winning the PGA Tour event, I went into Sunday morning and I texted Johnny. I said, he's not going to win this, right? I'm like, this is going to be Burns or JT, and I know Johnny agreed. And I was watching it, following it pretty much the whole day, and I was convinced 100% Burns was going to win the whole day until he hit the tee shot on 17. But I don't know, Zach, talk about your thoughts, just what that would be like as a 20-year-old kid in that environment, being able to close out the tournament. I mean, I think about what I was doing when I was 20 and then what this kid's doing when he's 20, and it makes me feel pretty inferior.
It's pretty amazing, to be honest. Obviously, the fact that it hasn't been done in, what'd you say, 33 years, and the only last person to do it was Phil, who obviously has had a pretty historic career. So, putting yourself in line with Phil on that measure is good. Um, I really, to be honest, I haven't watched a whole lot of golf at all. I didn't really watch any of this. I didn't I had heard, I think on Saturday evening that he shot 60 or something like that. Didn't even really know at that time that he was in the lead. I think it wasn't until probably 2 o'clock or so when you sent a text message or something about Sam Burns that I looked at the scores to see what was going on and realized that there was an amateur winning the tournament. And then at that point, I was kind of, obviously watching the football games, but on my phone, I was kind of keeping track as to what was going on, and saw Burns get up there and actually didn't. I think I got busy doing something. So, like you, I was like, well, Burns is right there with him now, tied, and probably, with the experience, going to take it. And when I finally opened my phone and saw that kid won, I thought it was pretty special thing. For me, if I was in there, I would not have won. Let's just be honest. I would have choked, without a doubt, 100%. So at 20, I mean, I don't know. I probably would have had a better chance at 20 than what I do now because I wasn't scared of anything then. Now all I just see is fears everywhere I look. So it's it's crazy.
Uh, yeah,
But from an aspect of him winning, I mean, I did go around and aside from this, I would say it's the first time I've talked about golf in like 2 or 3 weeks. I went to a couple places today to work on a couple people's broken pipes, and everybody that I talked to about golf is pretty excited about it. So it's definitely a good thing to get the golf world excited at a time where it's a little bit slow, and unfortunate for him that he's an amateur and didn't get to make any money.
That's true, which kind of sucks. I mean, with in the world of NIL, man, Christian Bezadenhuth though not bad for a runner up in that winner's purse. Johnny, you were a really good college player. I mean, can you imagine going out there with not just guys from the PGA Tour, but I mean, you're paired with Justin Thomas, one of the best players of this generation, and Sam Burns, Ryder Cupper, 5-time winner, and winning it with them. I mean, it's really incredible.
It's incredible. As you know, we mentioned, Phil Mickelson was the last amateur to win an amateur event. He also won the PGA Championship at 51 years old, and that is probably one of the greatest feats of all time in golf. This is almost equally as impressive to me. I mean, these guys are so good, and even if the field was good, but even if the field was just average, I mean, just to be able to win an event there, I mean, he's 20 years old, sophomore in college. He's 2 years removed from high school. I think when I was that age, I think if I played my absolute best, I might have been able to make the cut. But between the ropes, probably not even that, because I just don't think I'd be able to handle my stuff. But that's kind of the difference between colleges and what they do is, the big thing in the recruiting is to prepare the kids for professional golf in the future. So they play in big time events. Golf Channel broadcasts a lot of college events now, and these big time colleges, they really want to draw the spotlight on their teams, on their players, and everything to get them ready to go. And for him to beat everybody, like you said, Justin Thomas and Sam Burns in the final group there and to be able to rinse one, what was that, like on 7 or something like that? He hit one in the middle of the pond, didn't even come close, just got awful, and could have just fallen off the rails and shot 80. I mean, that's an 80 ball right there, and ends up just hanging in there and everything like that. It is just a true testament to how good he is. And be able to win the U.S. Junior and the U.S. Amateur, which Tiger Woods is the only one to ever win both. Tiger won 3 of each, but I mean, just to be able to win 1 of each is incredible. So he comes from, he's not totally out of the blue here. He is an excellent player, but just to be a sophomore, to be able to do that is amazing. And he was fortunate. It worked out well for him, because playing in the Amex, when you have to play with the amateurs, and I know we always joke about the Pebble Beach event, how we have to watch the amateurs play golf and everything. This is kind of a similar one. They just don't broadcast it on Golf Channel. But to be able to play with them Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so he never really got 2 days in like a final pairing. And I think that certainly he used it to his advantage by shooting a 60 on Saturday. I mean, that's just that I can't even imagine that. I mean, that I cannot imagine going 11, 12 under par on a Saturday of a PGA event there. So for him, though, that Sunday was just incredible for him to be able to stand up to Thomas and to Burns there, and to do that at 20 years old is never going to get the general public's true appreciation for how incredible that is. But it's got to go down in the modern golf era of like 1940 and sooner. It's got to be a top 10 moment of all time in the golf scene for him to win versus this type of field.
Not to make this about me, but let's make this about me for a second. I had Keegan Bradley at the Sony Open to win the tournament, and he goes to the 18th hole, sorry, the 72nd hole, which is, if you follow that tournament, it's I would say you'd birdie that hole. The pros, I don't know, 60% of the time. It's a pretty easy par 5. Keegan's a great driver of the ball. Of course, he drives it in the rough, has to lay up, can't make birdie, goes to a playoff, loses to fucking Grayson Murray. Was he 400 to 1?
400 to 1.
400 to 1. So I lose there. And then I bet Sam Burns live on Friday. He was at 35 to 1. I parlayed it with the Baltimore Ravens money line, and the Packers teased it up to 14.5, and I got him at 65 to 1. So again, I went into Sunday thinking Sam Burns is going to win. I know he's going to win. I'm texting Johnny in the morning. Look how good Sam Burns' career is. He's going to have his 6th win today. He's going to be on par. Him and Max Homa's careers are exactly the same, all this. And then, again, he goes into the 16th hole with a one-shot lead, easy par 5. He can't make birdie from the middle of the fairway, 224 yards away. Pars it. Dunlap makes a great birdie. They're tied. I still feel fine. And then he rinses on 17, and I'm like,
Jesus, that Tisha.
I'm like, oh my God. I said, he's not going to win. He's not going to win. And even going to 18, he's down 2. I'm like, okay, maybe a birdie bogey exchange is conceivable. It's a tough drive there. He rinses it again, and I'm like, oh my God. I was legitimately devastated. I was already counting that money. So 2 weeks in a row. I don't do it often, but I was so convinced he was going to win that tournament. So he loses to 400 to 1. I lose to Grayson Murray at Sony, and then to 20-year-old Nick Dunlap in back-to-back weeks. It's just not
350 to 1.
Yeah, it's not starting off well in 2024 so far as the golf bets go. But my only other takeaway from this week is I think Justin Thomas is back. I think he's back. I texted Johnny. I said, I think we got to pull the trigger on him. He's 32 to 1 to win the Masters. I bet him. I think Johnny said he bet him as well. I don't know what his number is today, but I think that number is going to move so quick that if you're interested in betting the Masters, and I think Justin Thomas is always a good fit there if he's putting half-ass. I don't know what he is today, but I like JT. I think he's back. I think it really is in for a big year, redemption year.
Yeah, that number there is pretty incredible. When you told me that, I jumped on. He's still 32 to 1 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. So if you like to bet futures, that's a really good number because typically at his peak time, he's 12 to 1, 12 to 15 to 1. Last season, he was anywhere from like 18 to 1 and got worse throughout the season. But Justin is going to be kind of in an FU type season. I think him a year with bones on the bag, he's going to continue to work on that putting, and his swing looked great, and he really putted well. He's going to skip Torrey, which is good because he's not going to get those shitty ass Poana greens. He'll play a little bit over here on the West Coast, and then Florida's his bread and butter, and getting on those Florida greens that he's used to, and hopefully just the confidence is there and everything like that. But yeah, he's a good future if you like doing those. Just a few bucks on that. I'd sprinkle a little bit, still get him because if he wins in Florida, he'll go down to 20 to 1.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, do it, Zach. We like to complain about Justin Thomas after the Masters, so we can do it together.
We can all do it together.
It's an annual tradition.
Disappointed us so often.
Zach, I know you weren't tracking the event as well as Johnny may have. Johnny, did you see anything that's worth taking forward into the rest of the season or even this next week?
I specifically did want to mention, like you said, I wanted to talk about JT, so I'm glad you did. A lot of times the guys who play well at Torrey either have a pretty good finish at Sony or at the Amex here. So, that's a good thing to consider, is just looking at the leaderboard from last week and seeing where guys are at and, who finished well and look to take that momentum into Torrey, because Torrey is a whole lot harder than playing in the dome of the California desert, which, by the way, those golf courses just looked pristine. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, I'm lucky to get to play Riverbend and putt on those Riverbend greens anytime I want to. But man, that California desert with just those greens, looking how those things rolled. Oh, it was just made me yearn for that first warm day in the spring at Riverbend here when he's got those greens just smoking hot right before the 5-man. I'm ready.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I mean, it's tough to watch this time of year, but it kind of gets you in the mood. I mean,
It
these
does
last
get you
3
in the mood,
weeks,
yeah.
and you see
Yeah.
this beautiful weather out there. It's what I
Yep.
think it was the low 70s in the Palm Springs area this last weekend. So it makes you ready for your own golf game. That's for sure. Um, Before we get into Torrey, which to me, guys, Torrey is always like it was always like the unofficial start of the PGA Tour season or like the first big event because it's where Tiger would always start a season, and it's kind of why I wanted to get the podcast revved back up this week because of Torrey. But before we talk about Torrey, kind of along the lines of predicting Justin Thomas is going to have a big year. Is there anyone that you're thinking that guy he's ready for a breakout or he's going to have a massive year? Whether it's an up and comer or if it's a guy that's just like Rory's going to win 7 times. I mean, what's your thoughts, Zach? You got anyone that you're lining up for? This guy's going to win a major. This guy's going to win a lot, or what have you.
I wrote down 4 names. I'm only going to talk about 2. There was a kid that came out maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, Ashke Bhatia. I think he recently won a tournament. It wasn't a big tournament, but to get your first win, I actually think that he has the opportunity to have a reasonable year. I don't really think necessarily a breakout year, but if I was going to say a breakout year, the person I would say is I think Fowler's. I saw Fowler. I don't know if you guys know who Michael Morris is. He's very famous now on YouTube as a golfing podcaster. He's recently done some videos with I think it's Brooke Henderson and some other people like that. A video with Ricky. I think he has one coming on with Rory here pretty soon. He actually played in a tournament at Riverbend for the Three Rivers Golf Tour, maybe like 4 years ago and won it. So it's just funny that there's a guy who's really, really famous now that played in that. But um, he had that video with Ricky, and Ricky was saying, his whole issue with that was changing his swing, mixed with the fact that he wasn't making the putts like he normally does, was mainly the reason that he struggled for those 2 years. And really putting starting to come back around, and obviously the swing. So if we can see a Ricky that is anywhere near what we saw when he was top 5 in all 4 majors, we could see a Ricky that maybe wins a major this year or wins a couple tournaments. And I would say that, winning a couple tournaments for Ricky this year would be a breakout year again for him, and huge for the game of golf. So I really do root for that one. That's the one that I really, really want to see happen. Is Ricky win a couple of tournaments? If Ricky won a major, I look at Ricky like Ricky and Homa are almost the same humans now. Ricky for our generation and Homa a little bit now for the younger generation. If either of them win a major, it will catapult golf with that spectrum. Everybody's always wanted Ricky major. Always so. I mean, I think that everybody was concerned when he wasn't playing well and felt bad, and now, excited that he's playing well. So he would be breakout wise who I hope and actually think is going to happen.
You remember last summer when we had the who's better argument, Ricky or Dustin Johnson?
Yeah. I'm trying to.
I feel like I won that now.
Well, Dustin Johnson's still better golfer than Ricky, but that's not even a question.
If they played a match today,
Dustin Johnson would beat him.
If they played a match today, I'm still taking Ricky Fowler today.
Oh,
I didn't say better career. I didn't say better career is not close. Today.
Just think that the fact that DJ's far away on Live and you guys are anti-Live, probably don't really watch Live. I don't watch Live either, so don't get me wrong. But out of sight, out of mind, I think it's forgotten the fact that there's no way that Dustin Johnson has lost his ability to be better at golf than most people.
I don't think he's lost his ability. I think his want to and motivation has diminished. And that may be a live thing. That may not be a live thing. And maybe Dustin Johnson's almost 40 and he's past his prime, and he's just like, I'm cool with just hanging out with Paulina on the boat.
I mean, I would argue that too. It goes back to something that
Which
Johnny
is,
said a
I'd
little
be,
bit
I'd be,
ago.
I'd be fine with doing that too.
Yeah, sure, but like the guys of today at 40, Johnny said that Phil winning at 51 was one of the greatest feats in golf, and 100% it is. But I would I would ask the question: is it actually more impressive than Jack at 46? Because Jack back then didn't have the physical regimen that Phil has now or all that. So who technically at their age was in better physical shape? I would say Phil was in significantly better physical shape at 51 than Jack was at 46.
Mhm.
And it just goes along. So when you say things like past your prime, I mean, you're 41 years old, right? Are you going to be better at
40,
golf?
40.
Okay, I'm also 40. So, are any of us willing to say that we cannot get better at golf than we've ever been? I would hope not.
No, but I think it's just realistic that Dustin Johnson's best golf, his very best golf, is that those days are behind him. He's on the back nine of his career. I think that's
A
fair to say.
betting man, well, obviously, I mean, he's had one of the best careers, that anybody's had. So it would be difficult to say that the after 40 he's going to have more than 20 wins on the PGA Tour. But I don't
Look,
think he's lost his ability to golf, golf.
I did not say ability. I just said the want to and the motivation has it's shifted a little bit in my mind. That is my only point, and that's why I would say if I think Fowler right now is just better today. That's all. We'll agree
Never
to
been better.
disagree. We'll
I
agree to
mean,
disagree, and
okay.
that's kind of where we land on a lot of things, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Johnny breakout slash who's prime for a massive year besides JT.
I was massive year. So by the way, I did pick Rom. I think we had this discussion last year. I picked John
You did.
Rahm, and that worked out pretty good there. I do think Victor Hovland is going to continue this incredible play. Obviously, I don't want we don't want to call it a breakout year because he did that last year. After Muirfield there, so it was just it was a great season, but he kind of was always that kind of happy-go-lucky, just guy who made a lot of birdies, whatever. But I think he's got that killer way to play golf that I think you need there, and he's got the short game now to back it up. So I think he's going to be around and be in the mention for a lot of events, a lot of big time events. Periodically throughout the season. I think his game is he's just that good now. Um, Guy who's going to break out. I'm going to go chalk here, but of the relatively not any of the top like 10 guys is Ludwig Hebert. That guy's talent level is through the roof. I mean, you know, the fact that he played all those events in the fall, won one of them, finished high in a bunch of others, and just kind of has it there. And getting Joe Scavone on the bag, Ricky's former caddy who went to Tom Kim and left Tom Kim to go to Bear. I think that's going to be a really good team. And he's just so good. I expect him to win to get a win sometime during the season. And I think that's I think that's a reasonable expectation now. He has I don't think he's played in any majors yet, so we don't know how his major performance is going to be. But a lot of times these Euro guys that are really really good, they just kind of they almost I don't say they don't know any better, but they don't go in there with the feeling the pressure of the media or what they put on themselves or what their team puts on them. So they just go out and play great golf, and dude could contend at like the Masters this year, but something like that. But there's a lot of like I want to say I like Batia, Akshay Batia as a guy. He had won last year, so I just expect him to be kind of a guy who may win one time every season. And if he gets his putting sorted out where it's a little bit more consistent, that's a good one. The two guys I like though, Minwoo Lee is, I think, a pretty fun dude, and guy just has tons of ball speed and putts and plays the game pretty aggressively. As far as his fear of failing or hitting a bad shot or missing a putt just isn't there. And he kind of broke out. Was it the Players Championship this year? It was an event early in the year. It was a big time event. He was kind of up there, and just it was a Sunday kind of collapse. But he's got full membership on the tour this year, and I expect that he could possibly win this year and end up having a big season. And I can't wait till the guy from Vanderbilt, Gordon Sargent, he gets on tour. He's going to be a good guy to. If you play like DFS, dudes hits it just miles and miles and miles. And he actually graduated PGA Tour University, so he was given his full card. So there's not going to be that Corn Ferry experience. He's going right to the tour there, and either of these guys sink or swim. But he's a guy who could come out and win an event. He's going to be a good guy in like DFS, where he'll make a bunch of birdies and he'll have pretty low value. His odds are not going to be that great to start, so you could get him probably at like 60-1, 50-1, or even higher than that on a lot of these PGA Tour events. So he'll be one to see how he adapts to the PGA Tour thing. But he's been around as an amateur for quite a while, so I could see him, hitting the ground running and being a good player. But we could always go with the big names, but those are just some names I've been kind of researching over the wintertime here, and ones that I really have kind of liked since midway through last year.
Good choices. What's not to like about Ludwig, Ludwig, however pronounce it this week. And I love Minwoo. He's fun. He's fun, and he kind of brings just the entertainment value to golf that maybe not a lot of the guys have, where it's like, dude, I gotta watch him. If I was at a tournament, I think I'd want to see him for a few holes. He just looks, fun to follow. Like you said, hits it a long way. It's got a lot of flair. I think he won the Australian Open in November.
Yeah, I think so.
Or the Aussie PGA. I get those.
He won in one of the majors over there. Yeah, over the winter time.
Yeah. I like, with some trepidation, one guy, but I think Sahith Theegala, he's already broken through in the fall when he won the first event of this new season in the fall. He's ranked 19th in the world, so it's hard to say he's going to break through, but I could see him win again this year on tour. Big time fan favorites. He's one of my favorites to watch. Just makes a lot of birdies. It's never not entertaining. He's got this Spiethian way about him where you're like, oh my God, he's in trouble and he's getting out of trouble and he's, making putts, and it's just it's fun to watch. But I think Sahith is going to continue to elevate. The second guy that I think is going to have a big year, again, with some trepidation, I say this, is Mr. Thomas Fleetwood. I think he's going to finally win on the PGA Tour. He just won a couple weeks ago on the
in
Euro
Dubai
Tour. Yeah, in Dubai, beat Rory. So no small feat there. And I think if Tommy's ever going to have a year, it's gotta happen sooner or later on the PGA Tour. Still not that old. I think he's around 30. So again, still I think has a major type game where I think he'll contend in a major this year as well. Seriously contend, and fan favorite. So Fleetwood is my choice on sort of a known commodity that I think is, could win once or twice on tour. And I'm sure at some point he's going to let me down in a devastating way, because that's his. I pegged you guys for a bold prediction for 24. You got anything bold you want to put out there, Zach?
I mean, it's not bold to me, but it's certainly going to be bold to you guys. I think that at least two majors are going to be won by live golfers. At least two majors are going to be won by live golfers. And that may not be actually a bold prediction because I'm going to say something that's probably going to start an argument. But if we're talking about top level talent, it's fairly equal now. Like if you put the top 10 golfers on Live against the top 10 golfers on the PGA Tour in a Ryder Cup format, I don't know that the PGA Tour is ahead anymore. John Rahm was a big get. Big get. Big.
That last big felt unnecessary.
I'm just saying, man. When I heard that was happening, I was looking forward to this first show. I think that I know we're gonna get into Live and PGA, right? I
Maybe
mean, if
one
we
minute.
just want to meld it,
Listen, we're an hour in, so maybe a minute. Yeah.
okay. So I really do think that the Rom going to Live thing is kind of exactly what everybody needed. You guys were 100% right when the Live thing first started. It was terrible for the game of golf, spectator. I don't think it's terrible for any of the people that went to Live, but it definitely has watered the professional viewing game of golf down. I mean, the PGA Tour is nowhere near as exciting without the big names that are on Live, and Live is nowhere near as exciting as what the PGA Tour used to be. So anything that can just push us begrudgingly to a merger so that we can all get back to watching the best players play against each other is fantastic in my mind. So that's really all I'll say about that. But I think we're exactly where we need to be with Live and PGA Tour, and that's an absolute chaos so that people can just finally bring it together and we can be done with this charade.
I I couldn't agree more. There's no argument to be had here as far as that goes. I listen. I just want the best players to be back together. I'm kind of over it. My bold prediction was that there's going to be a deal done by the Masters. That's my bold prediction. PGA Tour needs the funding stream. Clearly, sponsors are pulling out tournaments. We can't pay these guys what we promised we're going to pay them for signature events. It was great idea, poorly planned, not executable with the revenue stream as currently constructed. So with the PIF, if there's another funding source, whatever, I'm over it. I just want to see the best players back together. I think Liv needs the PGA Tour. I think they need the TV contract. I think again, I don't think Liv wants. I don't think the PIF wants to be losing hundreds of millions of dollars in their operations. So they both need each other. Get a fucking deal done. Wake me up when it happens. That's where I'm at. Johnny Strauss,
I'm
what do you
sure
got?
that the end. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna, yeah, that's all I want on that. And I don't know what my big bold prediction is. Maybe I'll announce one at the end of my spiel here. But yeah, as far as how the Live PGA Tour stuff is, I'm saying I'm tired of it. I don't want the Players Championship not to have Dustin Johnson and Cam Smith and John Rahm. I want to see those guys play, and the fact that they're not together is just devastating. Now, with that being said, I agree. At some point, I thought it was going to be by about the players. That was my prediction, that they will have something in place where there's going to be, the guys will be back allowed to play on the PGA Tour, and Live will be kind of a separate entity that these guys who sign contracts can play in and everything like that. I know they've been talking. I had heard that Jay Monahan was out in Saudi Arabia actually talking to the PIF people and about potential deals and everything. And I know they've got a lot of investors here in the United States that are looking to invest money in it as well. But it's tough because the PGA Tour can't compete with this because golf is not it's not football, it's not baseball or basketball where they've got just gobs and gobs of money that come in. It's a niche sport where Tiger made these guys all a bunch of money, and then it's just where they can't sustain it, and the sponsors and everything like that dropping out. That doesn't surprise me, and that's going to be bad about what's going to happen here in the coming years. They probably won't see the effect of it this year, next year, but as Farmers is already going to pull out, and they've got a couple. Wells Fargo's pulling out of the one in North Carolina there. So it's got to be, they got to come to something here. And I just think for the sake of a golf fan at this point, whatever, you know what, if you want to sign with this league and support what the organization that is signing you supports, that's fine, whatever. I just want to turn on my TV and watch the best guys play on one golf course in one event, and not to have this divided stuff where you're taking, like Zach said, you're taking 10 of the best players in the world and you're just ripping them away from this organization. I mean, it sucks, and it's awful. And I'm just done with it too. It's just like, just get it done. And I think they will. You said the Masters. I think it could be before that. I think something's going to happen, and I hope it does soon, because I do want to see these guys back. I want to see all of them back, and I hope that they do. And I want golf to be more unified as far as just the fields to be better. I just want to see that going forward, and I can't wait for it to happen. And it will, but we'll just see how soon that'll end up being.
Every week like this week at Torrey Pines, when we know the fields are different than they used to be, with the signature events and all these kind of big events early on, back to back to back. Next week, Pebble, then Phoenix, and then Riv. These 4 weeks, probably you can't play them all, but I'm so ingrained just to the feel of John Rahm being at Torrey, and he's had such a dominance there. And 2021 U.S. Open there, his first win at Torrey, him not being here, it is a big void, and there's several big voids now. I mean, yeah, when I went to the Memorial in June for the 3rd straight year. I want to see these guys play. I want to see Cam Smith up close. I want to see Dustin Johnson back. He's past his prime or not. I want to see it. So my kids.
I'm not behind you.
My kids came in and messing with me. So I'm with you. I just want to see them back together, and I just want to see all the best players in the big events, and I don't want to have to be worrying about live on the CW wherever they're at these days. It's my only dig. Zach. So I think we all agree on that sentiment, at least, together. Let's talk about Torrey for a minute. Again, I mentioned it always had the feel of like the biggest early season event. I don't know if it's the same anymore, because there's so many, like I said, next week's a signature event at Pebble, which is going to be a better field. At Riv in a couple weeks, it'll be a better field, but it still feels like a significant event. I love that they moved this from a Sunday finish so it doesn't go up against the championship games. It's a Saturday night finish. Love that for East Coast viewers like us, where we can, check that on a Saturday evening. If it's going to finish probably 7 or 8 o'clock our time, so it's kind of a good setup what they've done the last couple of years. Obviously, major championship style course, very long, penal rough, Hoa greens, bumpy greens. I think traditionally here, I think you've got to have some length to really have a good chance to win. I think you have to have a good short game. Johnny mentioned it'll be a nice departure from the birdie fest that we've had the first 3 weeks, especially last week, where birdies actually matter. A 10, 12 underscore is in contention. So I think it'll be a nice flip for where we've been the last 3 weeks. I don't know, Johnny, anything to add on the golf course? I mean, it's such a cool golf course where you have all these scenic views.
Yeah.
And then like the 9th and 10th hole, it's like runs along that like office park right there. It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. So it used to be just this really revered layout. It still kind of is, but I think with getting exposed at the U.S. Open, as these holes are just dead straight and everything, I think it made for just a lot of the common golf fans to be like, "Oh, that's kind of weird here." But the golf course is so hard; it's like 7,700 yards, and they're getting, as we speak, a shitload of rain right now. There's this low pressure system that is just hammering Southern California right now, and it was yesterday. and it's raining today, and I think it's going to rain tomorrow as well as it moves out. So the golf course is going to be really, really wet. They're going to get good temperatures throughout the rest of the week. The winds will be relatively reasonable, but the golf course is going to be wet, and the golf course is extremely long. So it's going to favor the longer hitters. It's got Hoana Green, so it's got they start smooth, and then as the golf course gets the greens get stepped on and walked on, they get a little bit bumpier, and they always grow in funny directions. The grass blades do, so it'll make it for some interesting putting as it always does. But it's a really hard golf course. There's a reason why Tiger went here every single year, because it was an early season test. And he had played it a lot as a junior golfer, but it was an early season test, and they made it really tough. And it's going to have thick rough, and the course is going to be long, and they're going to have those marine layers that may roll in, and where the ball just won't fly at all. So this is going to favor the longer hitters. I mean, you need dudes who can put it out there. I've kind of looked at it, and some of these short hitters who are playing pretty good, I'm going to stay away from them this week. I know they can kind of put it in the fairway, but they're going to be hitting, hybrids and 4-irons in, all day long. So it'll be a good test. The first 2 days are played on the south course and the north course. The weekend is played on the south course. The north used to be kind of a pushover. It's not so much anymore since they've redone it. So I don't expect really great scores. I mean, we saw 20, 29 under, 28 under, whatever it was. It's going to probably be half that this week. So guys are going to have to go off their ball. It's good to have course knowledge, and you got to be able to put it out there off the tee, because you just can't have the long irons going into every single par 4.
For time purposes, instead of segmenting the odds, I just want you to give me two or three of your best plays based on kind of that your criteria, or good value, whatever it is. Zach, I know before we went live, you mentioned a guy that you like a little bit down the board. That is
Lowry. I mean, I always like Shane Lowry.
you do like Shane Lowry. You do like
I
Shane
do.
Lowry.
I do, and I think that really, I don't bet like you guys do. So I think for me, it's a lot of like familiarity. And what I really do is I just try to pick semi-long shots that are historically good golfers that on a long shot could win. Lowry's one of those guys. At the same time, he doesn't hit it real far, so you guys got me a little bit scared about the fact that it's going to be wet. I didn't know
Lowry
about
can.
it.
I think
I mean,
Lowry's
it's
long
reasonably
enough.
far.
Yeah, I think he's long enough.
But,
get out there.
I didn't go out and do my meteorology, so I wasn't ready for
He
I had
even
a lot
mentioned,
of I had a lot of nervous energy before the football game yesterday. There was a lot of things I could have done there, and that was one of those things.
He even mentioned the low
I
pressure system. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
the Marine. Yeah, I mean, So, no, Lowry's one of them. I'll tell you, and I don't know that I'd bet him, and you guys are going to be surprised to hear this. I'm actually interested to see how Zalatoris does this year. Obviously, not one of my favorite guys. I do like him, but just don't bet him. But I am interested to see how he does. No, I do like him. I mean, I think that you think because I historically don't bet people. There's very few people. So
No, it's not just that.
No. Whoa.
It's not just that.
You said no. You just like, I don't know what the big deal is about Will Zalatoris. That's what you've said.
Well, I don't know what the big deal is about Will Zalatoris, but I'm going to look this year to try to find it. I'll tell you that. So I'm looking forward.
Don't backtrack. This is
I'm
not
not.
about
I'm
this is
not
not about the
necessarily
betting angle.
backtracking. I'm just trying to be a better Zach this year when it comes to Will Zalatoris. So a more positive Zach towards Will Zalatoris. Wait until we talk about Scotty Scheffler. Maybe that'll change. So, all right, yeah. I think that there's going to be a lot more insight on the betting aspects from you guys on this. But Lowry is a guy that when I just skimmed over it, I liked his number. I think it was 5,500 on DraftKings when I looked. So he's a guy that popped out. I saw. I will say, and Johnny kind of poo-pooed on this, but Francesco Molinari, there was a couple weeks ago, I think he played well on the European Tour, and he's way down there at like 2,500 but
Maybe
he
Rahm.
definitely doesn't hit the ball very far. So I'd be interested to see if he comes back in any way throughout the year.
I think he played pretty well a couple weeks ago.
And he was like top five, I thought, in
Yeah,
a European tour event.
That was that
yeah,
that was that 50-man event, I think, that first
yeah.
Dubai event.
Okay.
So he played good golf.
Yeah,
You know, Lowry is a guy though that I think in theory sets up reasonably well for Torrey, especially when I
Yeah.
think about getting the ball up and down, short
Yep.
game. Can play from the rough. We've seen him win from other golf courses like Firestone, where you're gonna hit the ball in the rough. You gotta play from the rough, and I actually don't hate that. It's a good number on
I
him.
mean, 60 to 1 on Lowry last year in Florida, and he lives in Florida, so he's more used to the Bermuda greens there. But last year you couldn't get him at 28 to 1. I mean, he was constantly low 20s. 60 to 1 is tremendous value on that.
Yeah,
Good.
Bane,
That's a good little nugget there, Zach. I kind of like that. I personally don't like Zalatoris right now just because he has been out for so long, and that putter, he likes the putter, but the putter doesn't like him. And that one that he's using now, that's that Lucas Glover putter. It's Adam Scott's using it as well. He can't make putts consistent enough. However, I mean the guy was out for a year, so he's going to be back. He's got to get healthy. He had major back surgery, so that just takes forever. But he's kind of appropriately priced, and I think he'd be a stay away. But the Lowry bet, that's a good one there. Um, my favorite one on the board here, I think, is Keegan Bradley actually. 30 to 1 there. I think he's a Florida man, so he's generally better on the Bermuda greens, but he played well at Sony, should have won Sony. So he kind of fits my criteria, what I said earlier, as a top 10 finish in one of the first two events. He can get it out there, no problem. And I think we're going to see a really good Keegan Bradley this year. I think his ass is still a little bit chapped about the Ryder Cup. I think this is like one of these years where he's going to kind of come to play, and he wants to prove that he's in that top echelon of American golfers and just golfers in general there. But he's very comfortable with that putter that he's got, and he gets it out there just fine. But 30 to 1 is a pretty tempting number for a guy who's playing pretty good there. I'm going to go ahead and bite on that. Another guy like not, I'll throw a little bit on a win bet, but I like him more in the top 10 is Justin Rose. He's a former winner here when he was the number one player in the world. Hits still can bring it. The putting is kind of okay. He was a little bit up and down in Hawaii, but he can kind of fit that there. I know I want to move back up to the top of the board though, real quick. I know we've always talked to this as a guy we just absolutely don't want to bet, and he has got just an absolutely horrendous number. Is Xander Schauffele, but Xander Schauffele, I don't know. I think he was close to being one of my breakout guys this year. I was going to give him one final chance in 2024. I think you could pair him up with. I don't like the 900 or the 9 to 1 bet, but pairing him with the
Lions money
NFC
line.
and AFC. Fuck it, man. Do it.
Yeah.
Show the ticket. I something like that. Yeah, is paired up with either of the two games that you want to get it closer to like 2,500 plus 2,500 or something like that. You'll need a little bit of luck there with potentially three legs, but that's a good one there. But not at 9 to 1. But I do like him this week a lot. He's from the area. Had started his career not playing well at Torrey, but has been really, really good as of recent. So he's a guy I like. And then Sepp Straka at 40 to 1.
Yeah.
Good solid player, played good out in Hawaii. I think he's just going to carry it, and he can get it out there just fine with the driver. It'll be good there. So I'll be very curious to see what the draw is based on the weather and everything, because they play half the field plays the north course the first day, half the field plays the south, and I got to see a little bit more research on who typically wins based on what course you start at. But with that being said, those are just some names in the first half of the board that I really, really like.
I do like Xander too. I feel like he's going to win this tournament. somewhere down the road could be
Yeah.
this year. And it's so funny, we talk about golf betting and we're usually like avoiding the 7-1s and 8-1s.
Hmm.
And if it was any other sport, if we had 7-1 or 8-1 on anything, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny how we look at it differently. But yeah, I think if you felt like if you found a couple random NBA games you like, which I do from time to time, parlay it with Xander, get it closer
Yep.
to like 20-1 or something, that would be pretty nice value. Um, the guy that I want to bet, and I just don't know, but I probably will. Usually debutants at this golf course at this tournament don't do that well, except John Rahm when he won here in his first year. Um, Ludwig is pretty enticing at 20-1. Just his driving ability sets up awesome here as far
Yep.
as just being long and accurate. Um, you know, some I'm not sure. I haven't seen him play enough to know about a short game well enough. Um, but just the ball striking ability off the tee is interesting at 20. Um, I had circled down the board a little bit. I also had Sepp Straka circled at 40, unbelievably. Sepp he climbs up here in these type of fields, some pretty good fields, and can really make a lot of birdies. And when he gets going, he's honestly like as hot as anyone when he's
Yep.
in his elements. Kind of weird to say. Um, but yeah, I like Jason Day. I don't like Jason Day at 22-1
I
either.
say 22. That doesn't seem like that's good a value. I was just gonna say he's a name I should have mentioned, but that's another one I'd have to parlay it to make it a
And,
little bit more attractive.
and course history here, it seems like when you play well here once or twice, it seems like every year you're kind of
Yeah.
in the top
He could
10, top 20. And
Yeah.
Jason Day is always in the mix here.
Yeah, he puts those Poe greens really well.
Um, so kind of there's a couple names that had the top going down the board. My favorite play, going back to my 2022 vibes, one of my greatest plays ever. I've already put it in today. Hit it at 80-1 2 years ago. Gonna hit it at 80-1 this year. Luke List. I'm going back
Luke
to the well.
List.
Yep.
Luke List.
And now it's to the point where like, okay, now he's won again.
Yep.
He won in the
One in
fall.
Mississippi.
His putting is not horrendous. His ball striking is still off the
Mm-hmm.
charts, and he's got a reasonable short game. And I said it 2 years ago. Torrey is like the perfect golf course for him.
Yep.
So I like the number at 80. I actually really like Ryan Fox down here at 80 as well. Might find him at 75, but he has a bit of a similar game to List. It might be a little bit more erratic off the tee, but has won some reasonable DP World Tour events as well. I think it's a good number for him. So there's a couple long shots that I really like for this week. But there's some amazing top 20 numbers down the board here that I think it's a pretty live market for people that are 151 win, 200-1 win. Where I think I don't do a lot of top 20s. I usually just do the win market, but I think it's a pretty interesting. There's going to be some plus 1,000, plus 1,200 numbers out there for top 20s.
I agree. This is weird just because we're used to just an absolutely loaded field here. So you've got it. We always say with this one, I know we've discussed this event last like 3 years since we started the podcast. It was like, stay away from these big number guys, with the long odds. But this week, I don't think you have to. And you just look at the first 3 weeks. You got Kirk, who was like 200-1, and then Grayson was 400-1, and Dunlap was 350-1. So it's out there. Maybe this is the season where these guys do that. But yeah, I looked at some of that stuff. I mean, there's some decent names out here at 251 with Matty Schmidt and Carl Yuan and Alejandro, what's his name? Alejandro Tostai. That dude, I hope he contends just because that guy has the worst temper and it's just amazing to watch. He is an absolute jerk. But with again, with that being said, there's some decent numbers there, and I'm going to look at the top 20 and top 30 market as some of our best bets. Which, by the way, the tournament starts on Wednesday again. Remember, so we're going to have best bets out sooner and get all your bets in. But definitely some attractive names out there.
Yeah, Sam Ryder, 130
Sam Ryder
almost won the tournament last year.
Wow, yeah.
Tom Hoagie, he played really well last week,
Yeah.
150 to 1, but just like top 10, 11 to 1. So a lot of good stuff down the board, I think. A lot of good options to where you don't have to lock down a win, but you can still manage top 10, top 20, and win some money. All right, guys, this is going long. I just need one more thing from you as we turn to our own golf game for 2024. Obviously early in the season, I don't know, you guys ever follow the Justin Thomas goals, and he updates everyone at the end of the season on Instagram or Twitter, sorry, or X, whatever it is now, and kind of gives the inside look of what his goals were and was he close to beating them? I don't need that whole list, but what's one or two things that you guys have in your own mind that you want to kind of achieves this year, or if it's get better at driving the golf ball or whatever. If it's a more of a macro or micro goal, what does those look like for you guys, Zach?
I guess I can say three things. I want to have a fully healthy year. Um, that's, I mean, I'm sure that everybody can say that, but last year was three-quarters of a healthy year, and it was nice to, feel good and to even still throughout all of indoor golf, physically still feel good after all of that. So that's a big positive. I would like to, and this is going to be the hardest one for me because I'm lazy. I would like to dedicate more time to practicing because I feel like I can't have the expectations that I feel like I should have without putting in the work. And thirdly, I would like to play more golf with my father. And that is kind of always one of them, but that every year I think that thought in my mind comes more. So those would be my three. Um, I'm trying to go into this year with no expectations whatsoever when it comes to tournaments or competitive golf whatsoever, or if I care to play competitive golf. So I just want to have a fun year.
Simplify it.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure playing with your dad at Coyote Creek.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll play with him anywhere. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to Coyote Creek. It just means I would like to play more golf.
I was just kind of just doing it. That was the implication.
Yeah, no.
That's probably not, that's another podcast.
There's no implication there. Just want to play more golf with him.
Johnny, what do you got?
Ooh, I'll do three as well. I want to gain. I want to get my ball speed up by 12 miles per hour. It's currently close to about 150. I want to get it above 160. I had it there a few 3 or 4 years ago. Not there anymore. It's climbing though. I want to win Three Rivers Tour Player of the Year. I looked at their schedule and I've got some availability to play in a lot more of the events based on my work schedule. And I want to win an FWGA event again. Looking up there, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 FWGA trophies, and none of them are like 2020 and later. They're all before that. So ready to add to that shelf there to win another one this year. And again, I don't know the schedule, so I don't want to put any goals beyond that. But that's just we know the guy who's been winning all of those and everything, and ready to put somebody else on top of the board there and seeing what I could do. So I think those are reasonable goals I can all achieve, and looking forward to a healthier off season now and a healthy year and everything. No longer doing the glasses. I got contacts now, so I'm not going to be having to push the glasses up and have them slide down my nose while I play and everything. So it's gonna be a little bit of a change to adjust to it. But if I could get those done, I'll be really happy with how the season goes.
I didn't know how many FWGA wins you had, so that's
Yeah.
that's a lot. That is a lot.
That I had a good run for several years, and then then there was other people that had a lot of good runs as well. So I'm still not old enough to where it's like I'm too old for that stuff. I can still get it out there, but ball speed first, good golf, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, don't put dirt over you yet. That's what you're saying here.
Don't bury me yet, man.
I guess I feel like I got to do three as well. My number one is just to practice and play more, to have any sort of expectations to play competitively. It's like Zach mentioned, it's a bit unreasonable if you actually don't put time into it to expect fantastic results. It's irrational, and so that's one is just figure out a way in my schedule to make that happen. Even with three kids and whatever, just got to make it happen. Number two, when I am out there, I want to improve my par five scoring. Um, Playing with good players enough, I see just how often they take advantage of the par fives, with not just making birdies, but not making sloppy bogeys. And so that's something I have to get better at. And number three is really just trying to keep doubles, triples off the card. I've played long enough where I feel like I might have some psycho scorecards. I know I've played with Johnny in certain rounds where I can put four birdies on the card, but man, I'll have like two doubles and a triple, and it kind of just ruins all the work. So just kind of managing those. If I have misses, trying to manage those and make bogey instead of making doubles and triples, and because there's enough usual good stuff that happens throughout my round
Yep.
where um, just man, it is a killer, and it kills your kind of your morale during the round, and
Yeah.
it's hard to keep those going when you throw a couple doubles in there. So that's where I'm at.
I kind of was expecting one of your three to be finally become a full member at Riverbend and, join us. We were hoping for that.
I want to, and it's not off the table this year. I have to do some math to see if
Sure.
if it makes sense, and it might be just like a conversation with Tom or Aaron and saying like, what can you put together for me that makes sense?
Yeah.
So, I do. I
seem to work
want
with
to be
everybody.
there, and I want to play in the the member events and all that. So not off the table for.
I was going to say I
It'd be
wanted to
fun
win
to
the club
have you.
championship again, but with Zach being here, he does too. That was kind of a given goal there, but no, that was I hope you do join because it's awesome. It's a great
That
group of people.
that stretch of golf you played for 5 holes was astounding, to be completely honest. So, uh, I try not to think about that weekend very much, if I'm being honest. But when I do, normally the thoughts are just of the dagger I felt in my heart when you ran that putt in for eagle, and I knew at that point that
Yeah,
I was in trouble.
yeah, that was it right there.
Fuck, man. You hit that thing so hard
Yep,
and it hit dead center, and had it not have gone in,
I was
man,
down the
that's
front of the green.
such a good hole. You played that so well. It was a great tournament. It was super fun. Like
Yeah,
such a good week. And I keep saying that every time, but like and I think we kept saying that to you, but like the steeplechase afterwards, it doesn't matter if you win or you lose. The
no,
steeplechase afterwards
that's
just
incredible.
wrenches everything away.
Yeah,
So it's so much fun. So
yeah,
much fun.
they know how to do it out there.
Looking forward to seeing Phil out there so that he can join and be part of that as well.
It's like, good final sales pitch there, Zach.
You're
Listen,
welcome.
I want to make it happen, man. I want to make it happen. Uh, We better call it a night before my wife serves up like divorce papers when I come out of here. Zach, Johnny, appreciate you guys taking all the time tonight. And go Lions on Sunday.
Go fucking Lions.
Go Lions.
All right, guys, we'll be back hopefully most weeks with your best bets. Check our best bets out starting on Tuesday. Short notice, but on Facebook and Instagram, best bets will hopefully be back regularly, and we'll have shows most week on YouTube and then Spotify and Apple as always. So thanks for joining. Let's have a good 2024 ahead of us. Goodbye.